Hello and welcome to episode 84 of Battlefield 4 News. So today mainly going to be talking about the weapon updates in the fall patch, but there's also some good Battlefield news for owners of the Xbox 360. If you own an Xbox 360 between the 1st and 15th of October, you can play Battlefield Bad Company 2 for free. Now this is a limited time offer, it's only for that 2 weeks. But you can play Battlefield Bad Company 2. Bad Company 2 is often quoted as being the best Battlefield game there is. It's one of my favourites, and Hardline seems to be taking a lot of its cues from Bad Company 2, so give it a try. Right, so on to the weapon updates from the fall patch, and there's been quite a lot of changes to a variety of weapons. They fixed an issue with the RPG and XM25. If you swapped to your primary and then back to the RPG's accuracy was way off until you reloaded it. There have been some major changes to recoil on all weapons. So the recoil penalty for being suppressed has been reduced, they've removed the recoil modifier for being zoomed in, and hipfire now has a recoil reduction of 75%. So they've not changed the gun's base recoils, what they've done is change the recoils in certain circumstances. Because of these changes, the muzzle brake has also been changed. So its recoil reduction has been reduced, but also its penalties have been reduced. So it works the same overall, it's just not quite as effective as it was before. The heavy barrel has seen a buff. So they've lowered its minimum move spread, but they've balance that by reducing the spread increase. So this means the heavy barrel is once again the long range tap firing option. It doesn't work well in full auto or when you're moving, but it's now ideal on those slower firing high damage guns that are designed for long range combat. The laser sights received a small buff, and that's to standing hipfire accuracy, so it now gives you a slightly bigger bonus when you're firing from the hip and standing. Most of the weapons in the DLCs apparently had the wrong spread increase values, so those have been changed. Some have gone up and some have gone down. They're not massive changes, but they do bring the guns in line with the non-DLC weapons. The SAR-21 has had its missing bullpup modifier added, and this makes it really good at running and gunning. The SAR-21 is a gun that's been much improved by this patch. There have been various changes to bullet velocities. Shotgun slugs and suppressed weapons have had their bullet velocity increased. This makes them a bit easier to use at range. They've also improved the velocity for some of the weapons that were intended to be long range. So that's guns like the Scars and some of the DMRs. The next change is the big one, and that's the changes to damage models. So many weapons have had their minimum and maximum damages adjusted slightly, and it's been adjusted down. So the 25 damage guns now do 24 damage, the 34 damage guns now do 33. So this means you're often going to find yourself needing an extra bullet to kill your opponent, but at close ranges the defensive perk now makes no difference. It is a big change, and it fundamentally changes the way the game feels. You now have much more chance surviving peeking round a corner or moving across open ground, but it does take a while to learn these new timings. The other thing this has done is effectively buffed the DMRs, because they're still using the same damage model and are still 3-shot kills. Next, they've removed the trigger delay from all revolvers, so when you hit the mouse button the gun fires. I don't think this has changed the fire rate of the guns, I think they've just reordered the animation. The Desert Eagle has received quite a major nerf. Its bullet velocity and minimum damage have been reduced, making it much less effective at range. So this is now more of a medium range gun than a long range sniper like say the Magnum is. The low rate of fire weapons designed to be used at longer ranges have received a series of minor buffs. So this is minor spread buffs, minor accuracy buffs, just to make them a bit more effective at range. These bonuses are to make up for the fact that they're less effective at close range now. The bullpup PDWs and carbines now have slightly larger bonuses than their assault rifle counterparts do, and this is to show that they're smaller, more manoeuvrable weapons. Some of the guns that have been short on ammunition compared to their counterparts, so that's guns that have 20 round magazines or 25 round magazines, they've been given extra ammunition so that they've got the same number of shots as the 30 round magazine guns, they just have to reload more often. All PDWs have had their minimum spread decreased when moving, so this means that when you're moving and shooting a PDW, your spread starts at a lower level. So your first few shots are always going to be more accurate until the spread increases. And it's the same story for the magazine-fed LMGs. They've had a decrease in their moving spread as well, to represent the fact that they're lighter and more manoeuvrable than the belt-fed LMGs. The pew-pew noise of the DMRs has been removed, so they now sound a lot better when they're being shot at you. It's more of a crack than a pew now. It's still quite distinctive, so you can tell DMRs from assault rifles and sniper rifles. The SKS and M39 EBR no longer let you steady your shot by holding your breath. The next line says bullet velocities increased. I think that should say DMR bullet velocities increased, because we've already seen bullet velocities for other specific guns. So I think this is that the DMRs have had their bullet velocities increased to make them better at long ranges. Some of the bolt action snipers have had their bullet velocities increased as well, so this is the ones towards the lower range of the bullet velocity, like the M40 and the CS5, and that combined with the suppressor changes means that suppressed snipers are a lot more effective now. The Gold Magnum has had a bit of a nerf. Its rate of fire has been reduced because it was clearly one of the better sniper rifles in the game. And the S'more has had a slight buff to get the rocket to the target a bit quicker. So the MBT lore has had some major changes, and the biggest one is the way it now locks onto targets. You have to be more accurate with it. Big problem with the lore is that while you were locked onto one target, if something moved around in front of you, then it would change its lock. Now it's less likely to do that, and it also won't lock onto targets that it can't actually shoot. So that's targets behind cover or the back tank of a column of two tanks that are coming towards you. It won't suddenly keep flicking in between the two. You'll now be able to lock it onto the front one more accurately. The missile has been slowed down, and it activates and warns the vehicle that there's a missile coming in at 100 meters instead of 15, so that they can react with countermeasures easier. And the SLAM has had another nerf. Its damage and blast radius have been reduced slightly. A tank rolling all three of your SLAMs will no longer be destroyed, it will just be disabled. Next we move on to the grenade changes, and these are pretty major as well. These changes are all at reducing grenade spam. You now carry one less RGO and one less V40 Mini. Their central blast radius has been reduced, so you need to be more accurate with them to get the full damage potential from them. There have been changes to the refill times for both grenades and grenade launchers and the XM25. Now they say these changes are an indirect buff to the offensive and grenadier specialisations, but if you want to reduce grenade spam, why are you keeping those specialisations in the game? Because they give you extra grenades and explosives. So here are the changes in more detail. RGO capacity has gone from 2 to 1, the RGO inner blast radius has gone from 1.65 meters to 1 meter. The V40 Mini has dropped from 3 to 2, and the V40 overall blast radius has been reduced from 7 meters to 6 meters, and its inner blast radius has been reduced from 2.5 meters to 1. So to get the full damage from the V40, you need to be a lot more accurate. The ammo pickup times have all been increased. So a flashbang has gone from 5 seconds to 9 seconds. An RGO has gone from 7 seconds to 25 seconds. A V40 Mini has gone from 8 seconds to 13, so getting both V40 Minis takes the same time as getting one RGO. A hand flare has gone from 1 second to 6 seconds to stop that getting spammed around. The M18 has gone from 5 seconds to 9 seconds. The M34 has gone up to the full 25 seconds, as has the M67. The XM25 Dark has gone from 1 second to 3.5 seconds, and it now does 4 rounds, not 5. The XM25 itself has gone from 3.5 seconds to 6 seconds, and it now does 1 round, not 2. The 40mm 3GL has gone up from 8 seconds to 18 seconds. The 40mm Smoke has gone from 2.5 seconds to 5 seconds. And the 40mm LVG and HE grenades have both gone up to 9 seconds. So that means it's now going to take 25 seconds to reload most offensive hand grenades. There have also been a whole host of animation fixes. Now I'm not going to go through these in detail, I'll just let them scroll up the screen, but there are a few that need mentioning. The AWS now has a semi-automatic fire mode. The RPK-74M has had both its empty reload and its reload with bullets left reduced by 0.3 of a second, so that's so they match up with the animations. And for the ACWR, they haven't increased the speed of its reload, but they now have it so that it shows you that it's reloaded faster. Previously, even though the gun had reloaded, the bullet count didn't update when it should have. So those are all the weapon updates from the fall patch, and as you can see there have been some pretty major changes. Certain guns have become much more effective than they used to be, but overall the damage over time has been slowed down throughout the game. There are a few exceptions like DMRs and sniper rifles, but the majority of guns have effectively been slowed down. One other piece of news that's not related to the fall patch is that the final stand maps are coming back to CTE servers. So this is going to be in about a couple of weeks, and they're going to be focusing on the map performance, making sure there's no areas that cause lag, and they're also going to be showing us what they've changed on the maps. To get ready for this, there's going to be a massive update next week. Now we already know that some issues are being fixed in the final stand release, and it looks like we're going to be seeing what exactly they are preparing to fix in final stand. So that will be the next major patch after this fall patch. And that's it for this episode of Battlefield 4 News. So I have got Battlefield up and running again, so I can do the gameplay videos of some of these changes. That won't be until next week because I signed the contracts on my new flat today and I've got a lot of stuff to sort out over the weekend. The next video will be a news episode covering the changes that have been made in the fall patch to the maps and to the game modes. Thanks for watching.